Alright, so let's assume that we have this first part done. We have the title, we have the first page of the story, and now we want the person to be able to choose what they want to do, right? So maybe right here I could say the boy had the invaders on the right side and the door on the left side. Okay, so let's leave it at like a cliffhanger, right? So the boy can either fight the invaders or he can go through the door on the left side of the room. So what I want to do here is I want to stop the program. I want it to wait for the user to enter in their choice before moving on, right? So again, how do we stop the program and make it wait for the user to enter in something on the keyboard? Well, we can use input. Right, we've been doing this for a while now, so we can do input and we could say enter a choice, and maybe in parentheses we could say like 1 or 2, right? And we need to save their input somewhere, so we can maybe make a variable called choice and save the input somewhere. So the variable choice is equal to whatever they type in on the keyboard, whether that's 1 or 2. And notice here we used input, not raw input. Raw input would have them type in words, but input takes in the keystroke as an integer, right? So let's go ahead and come here, and of course here we also want to print out the choices, right? So we could say number 1, or let me see here. We could say something like number 1 is fight the invaders, and we can make another print, and we could say 2, we can run for the door. Okay. Let's see if this works. I'm going to go ahead and play my game. Okay, so it looks kind of smashed together right here. Do you see that? Right, so I want an empty line between those. So I can come right here and do a \n, and I'll run it again. Now I got that blank line there. It looks better. I also want a blank line between my enter choice as well. So I'm going to come here, and I'm also going to do a \n. So I save that, and I'll run it. Whoa. Okay, so let's run it. So here we get, and this looks better to me. Okay, we got the title, blank line, story, blank line, choices, and then enter the choice. What do you want to do? Okay, so now I'm going to enter a number like 2 and hit enter. Now what I want the program to do is start to tell the story about how I ran for the door and what happened when I ran for the door. But I also want the program to check if I entered 1. And if I entered 1, I want it to print out the fight scene, right? So how do you make your program make a decision? Well, we have the 3 fundamentals of computer programming, which are variables, branches, and loops. What do variables allow you to do? Save data, right? This variable choice is saving a piece of data. We got loops, and that's allowing you to repeat a block of code as many times as you want. We haven't really talked about that very much, but we have talked about branches, right? And what are branches? They're the if statements, the if and the else if and the else, right? So branches allow your program to make a decision, and that's what we're going to use here. So we're going to say if choice is equal to 1, do something. Else, we're going to say do something else. Okay. So if they don't, let's assume if they don't enter 1, then they enter 2. So let's come here to the else. So on the if, we're going to indent, and we're going to start writing. Okay, and what's going to happen here in this if? Well, we're going to print out the fight part of the story. Okay. And what happens after you print out the fight part of the story? Well, in the Choose Your Own Adventure book, we are faced with a page that's similar to this, right? Prints out the fight part of the story. At the end, you make another choice, right? Prints out the fight part of the story. At the end, we're given another choice, either choose 1 or choose 2. So that's what we want our program here to do. Okay, we print out the next part of the story, and we're going to do basically the same thing right here. So we're going to print out the next part of the story, and we're going to give him a set of choices, and we're going to take in the input. Right? What do they want to do, choice 1 or choice 2? And once they do, what do we want to do? Well, we want to branch again. So we're going to do an if else, right? And it's going to continue over and over and over again, right? So that now we have a story that's interactable, where we can choose what we want to do in the story by entering in choices down here at the bottom of the screen based on this input command that stops the program and waits for the user to enter in their choice. So what about over here? We say jump off the ledge. And over here, we could say something like get into the spaceship, right? So it will print the next part of the story, and we'll choose to either jump off the ledge or get into the spaceship. Choice will be either equal to 1 or 2. So here in the if statement, I could say if choice is equal to 1, then print jump part of the story. And on the else, we're going to assume the else is them entering 2, so we could print get into spaceship part of story. Alright, so I think you guys get it now, right? And so we're going to have a bunch of inputs, we're going to have a bunch of stories printed out, and we're going to have a bunch of branch statements. We're going to have a bunch of if-elses in our story. Right. And we don't have to make the story as complicated as what we see here. Okay, if you notice, each of these nodes is a different part of the story with a choice, right? But you do want to make your story a little bit in depth so that the person reading it has a reason to reread it, right? And play it over and over and over again to try to explore all the different options. And some things that other people have done is they made a win condition. Like if they chose this one right here, then they finally won, right? And every other option was them losing. So that makes it more like a game and increases the player's motivation to replay and replay and replay the game. So why don't we go ahead and get started working on our Choose Your Own Adventure project, and let's see what kind of adventures we can come up with.